Greetings. Can everyone hear me? Can I get a thumbs up? I just want to make sure you guys could hear me. Today is Monday, September 30th. We are one day away from what many are calling Red October, but not red in a bad way, red in a good way, right, for the people of the earth. There's been a lot of events that have occurred within the last week. One in particular, the actual conference that took place between Mr. T and Zelensky is totally a game changer in the geopolitical arena in terms of the power shifting from the cabal into the White Hats, among other things that have been happening in our own states, like particularly in Georgia. A huge summit meeting that even Mr. Putin had to convene in the last couple of days, an emergency meeting. So there's going to be a lot to talk about today in this update report. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day on the 30th of September. Now I'm going back in time, right? And then on this very day, as a reminder, I always like to pinpoint a day in reference. In the year 1938, the Munich Agreement was signed. Munich. So the notorious Munich Agreement, in which Britain's Neville Chamberlain encouraged Britain and France to appease Adolf Hitler's demands in the hope of preventing World War II, was reached on this very day in the year 1938, September 30th. Now, for those that don't know me, my name is Ishmael Perez. I'm the author of those amazing books back there, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, and of course, Our Cosmic History, Restoring Galactic Information and Cosmic Information back to the Earth, in preparation for the Ascension, of course. Another thing I wanted to announce, guys, is that I'm actually going to be teaching my last course this coming October. I believe it's the second weekend of October, both on Saturday and Sunday. This is going to be my last course that I'm going to teach till next year, till the end of the year. So for those that didn't make the September course, because a few of them did fill up fast, go to my website, or cosmicorigin.com, or you could just access it through the link that I provide in the description. And make sure you guys sign up for my September courses, both Ascension Basics and Our Cosmic Origin. Again, this is the last class of the year, guys, until next year. So make sure you guys, get your spot. With that in mind, let's get into the juicy information. So, yeah, today's been interesting. Not today, but the last week has been very, very, let's just call it, things are going accordingly to God's plan. The way things have been unfolding recently are actually, believe it or not, falling into the favor of the White Hats. So, one second here. Oh, okay. So with that in mind, as a reminder, we are living in historic times. The world is witnessing a profound shift as the White Hats, who are brave souls that have infiltrated globalist organizations. This is something that's been going on now for the last 10 years, and they have actually been successful, right? They managed to create a splinter group even within NATO, which I will be explaining shortly. So basically, they are turning the tides on the NWO, bringing everything back to the light, right? Things that were in the corridors of darkness. So this global effort to dismantle the cabal is actually reshaping geopolitical reality as I speak, and revealing just how the old power structures are crumbling. So to start with a bang, recently an explosion rocked a facility in Georgia. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but that was, some might question what was the reason behind that, right? What was going on there? Well, many sources have revealed that this was no ordinary explosion, but in fact a targeted White Hat operation. This facility was apparently being used as a covert bio WEAPON, bio that, one of many that have been established around the world, creating chemicals that are hazardous, right, for people. These labs have been involved in producing various types of biological agents intended to spread illnesses and fear among the population. A part of a broader agenda, which was to weaken society and manipulate global power dynamics in favor of canceling the November events, right? Giving the torch over to the the incumbent, but that's not going to happen because of the fact that the White Hats were able to destroy these facilities in the nick of time. Again, the White Hats are always 10 steps ahead of the cabal. So furthermore, the White Hats, which is a coalition right now of over 130 countries, a worldwide military and intelligence operation that is fighting for global freedom, have been steadily and systematically dismantling these hidden threats, not just in Europe, but believe it or not, guys, a lot of these biochemical facilities, secret laboratories, whatever you want to call them, a lot of them actually do exist underneath some of the states. There's a few states that have these labs. So this is a you could say a national operation. For instance, the lab in Georgia was a crucial target, one of the most biggest labs, as it had connections with powerful networks that have been perpetrating crimes against humanity for decades. And a lot of this was connected, of course, to Dr. Doom, right? You guys should know who Dr. Doom is. So by taking out these facilities, the White Hats have dealt a significant blow, have given a significant blow to the dark forces and neutralizing major potential threats that would have actually canceled the November event. But of course, thanks to looking glass technology, the White Hats were able to counteract in every probable timeline. So part of the worldwide cleanup that is taking place right now, this event it's part of a larger global operation. It's an operation that has been in the making for years. The White Hats are working tirelessly behind the scenes to conduct a worldwide sweep of all those involved in their, crimes against humans, trafficking people, weapons, secret weapons, and other sinister activities that have plagued our planet for such a long time. So the ultimate aim, of course, is to restore balance, guys. To restore balance, of course, secure freedom, which is, top reason, and ensure the safety of all people around the world. It is about dismantling the networks of corruption that have deeply infiltrated governments, institutions, and global power structures. So the cleanup operation includes not just the destruction of these facilities, but also various other criminal activities that have gone unnoticed or have been covered up by those in power. And so it makes no mistake that this is part of the preparation for the long-awaited mass arrests that we are all expecting. And they will shock the world when the full scope of these operations are finally revealed, especially to the average person, right, who is still drinking the Kool-Aid. So another significant groundbreaking development took place that, again, tilted the power over from the cabal to the White Hats, was a forced meeting between, Ukraine's president and former President T. While many may perceive this meeting as a step toward peace, the truth behind the surface is far more revealing. So first and foremost, the White Hats, okay, I'm just going to throw it out there, guys. The strategic alliance aiming to restore global freedom pressured Zelensky. Some believe that he was forced, that he was actually held at gunpoint to actually go ahead and hold this conference meeting with Trump. Okay, so this discussion, right, this is something that the dark hats did not want to happen, right? So he was pressured, he was actually forced. The discussion was to end the Ukraine-Russian conflict, which is a war that has drained global resources and was fueled by the cabal's intent to destabilize, of course, that region. But Zelensky, finding himself caught between the machinations of the deep state and the influence of the White Hats, had no choice but to sit down with Mr. T and discuss terms for a ceasefire. So this is a huge game changer, as it signifies the start of a realignment of global power and away, of course, global power being taken away from the cabal's infrastructure or center of control. So as you guys know, Ukraine was supposed to be the epicenter of the cabal. Okay, so this meeting is more than just about Ukraine. Okay, the White Hats are working tirelessly to end another war, of course, the conflict in the Middle East, ignited, by Israel's actions, which was also orchestrated by the cabal for geopolitical gain. By now, you guys should know, right? That's why they're going into Lebanon and stuff, and the issue with Iran. I mean, it's just escalating. But again, this is a cabal game plan, as a way to give them a reason to install their NWO. But it's also being acted upon by the White Hats. So the goal is to strip away the false narratives and expose how these wars have been tools of control for those behind the scenes. By dismantling the mechanisms driving these conflicts, the White Hats are pushing the world towards a new era of peace and prosperity. So there is a huge infiltration taking place right now where the political, I'm just going to call them Zionists, who were in control of Israel have already been infiltrated, and now they are, you could say, the White Hats are in control of the situation over there. So it's not going to be escalating into a, a full-on war with in the Middle East. So as I continue, Zelensky's role in this story doesn't end with a simple meeting. There is more, guys. Okay, he is currently finding himself in a precarious position, caught between loyalty to the deep state, right? Because we all know he's a puppet for the deep state, and survival under the growing influence of the alliance. So after his meeting, the conference with Mr. T, he's been faced with diminishing support from the Biden administration. Apparently, the cabal, the deep state, have no more resources to supply, the Ukraine with more weapons and with more soldiers. So what's happening right now is that Mr. The guy from the Ukraine is actually threatening the very power structure that he once aligned with. Reports have revealed that he is now blackmailing the Brandon administration, demanding more support in the ongoing conflict with Russia. And these demands, if these demands are not met, get this, guys, Zelensky has threatened to hand over critical evidence to Mr. T that could expose the entire history and the depth of corruption that has been done to the United States Constitution. And by the way, I don't know if you guys noticed, but for my thumbnail, I did use the year 1776. As you guys know, that was the year that our constitutional republic was established. And so the reason I use that as a thumbnail is because, there is two operating systems, right? There is the Republic and the Government Inc. But the Government Inc. is no longer in power. Now the power is coming back to the Republic. So in a way, this is our second American Revolution. So I thought I'd throw the year 1776 as an indicator telling us that we're actually returning back to constitutional law. So it has also been reported, there is more, guys, that the Tennessee National Guard immediately responded to the hurricane, Idala, reveals another, you could say, layer that the White Hats are in control, or it was a strategy by the White Hats, because right now, most of the National Guards are under the control of the White Hats. So the Guards' deployment to provide immediate relief to the hurricane ravaged states was not just a humanitarian effort, it was a clear demonstration of the alliance's ability to provide aid and stability where the federal apparatus, still hampered by cabal interest, failed. Okay, Brandon's administration did not order any help. All right, he did not send any help or support. It was actually Mr. T, who also, by the way, happened to donate about 25 million to the people that were affected by the hurricane. So apparently, there is a phrase in the Bible that says, "Through their actions you will see; through their fruits you will see their labors, their work." Well, obviously, Mr. T is doing more for this country than the Brandon administration. So going back to Russia, guys, this is another thing that really is very significant in this last play, whatever you want to call it, where we see more signs of a significant change. It turns out that Mr. Putin has returned to Kremlin for an emergency meeting, and I think this took place within the last 24 hours, a rare move that signals a response to these rapidly unfolding global shifts. This urgent gathering could be linked to the seismic changes happening worldwide. And, some believe that he's actually about to claim that he's going to use missiles. But what if that is something that is completely going to be counteracted upon? And then all of a sudden, he is going to, that's when the treaty that was signed by the White Hat military is going to be implemented on a worldwide basis. And at that point, Putin is going to say, well, on second thought, we have reached a resolution through this international treaty that, of course, we know was pushed by Mr. T. So It is believed that Russia is now in a key position amidst the growing realignment of global powers and responses to the cabal's warning, influence over international conflicts. That it's going to appear, guys, in the media that he's going to give the green light for the usage of nuclear weapons, but it's not going to happen, right? He's going to immediately follow it up by something else if that were to happen. Okay, so don't be alarmed. And another thing to consider with the fall of the deep state is that it has also been known that tonight at midnight, port workers belonging to the Longshoremen's Union will initiate a strike, a coordinated action that further demonstrates the destabilization, of course, of the deep state. Okay, so for a long time, we know that these unions, right, were all part of the Democratic Party, and there's a reason why they are uprising, because these unions have become very, very. I mean, this party is very, very corrupt. So these workers are rising against the economic tyranny that has long been imposed on them by, of course, deep state corporate and financial systems. So their refuse to continue business as usual is more than the labor movement. It is a powerful indicator that people around the world are reclaiming their sovereignty, breaking free from the chains of globalist control, which leads to another thing, guys. All right. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but you know, let's talk about the most biggest financial giants on the planet. Okay, Black, ROCK, and Van, GUARD. Okay, so for decades, these corporations have held unparalleled control over global assets, effectively acting as the financial arms of the cabal. But now these behemoths are being faced with, believe it or not, guys, bankruptcy. All right, yes, big, Black, ROCK, and Van, GUARD, bankruptcy. A sure thing that their control is eventually evaporating, because that was what was holding the pinnacle of the cabal structure, planetary structure together, was these two main corporations or investment firms, whatever you want to call them, that owned 80% of the planet. So as the Earth Alliance continues to strip away the resources and power of the cabal, the collapse of these corporations is a clear indication that the NWO's financial strongholds are crumbling. With their influence dwindling, the world is about to see a redistribution of wealth, power, opportunity, heralding a new age of economic freedom and transparency. So everywhere we look, guys, the signs are clear. The old guard is falling and the Earth Alliance is rising. The orchestrated conflicts, the manipulated economies, and the shadow dealings of the deep state are all being exposed and dismantled. The white hats are turning the tables on the NWO, creating a seismic shift that will soon be felt in every corner of the globe. And so the world is apparently on the cusp of a great awakening, a time when transparency, peace, and sovereignty will be restored. And of course, humanity will rise beyond the reach of the cabal's grasp. This is not just a political change, it's a global revolution, a rebirth of humanity, and a victory for truth and justice. The balance of power is shifting, and the light is finally overcoming the darkness. So let's uncover more global takedown by, of course, the white hat military and some of the elite arrest. So apparently, it was reported that in Nevada, a series of covert military strikes have targeted secret underground bases. These are not just ordinary military bunkers. These bases house the cabal's most sinister and powerful weapons, designed to control the public during a pre-planned global blackout. Well, that's not going to happen anymore. The bases have been destroyed, and with their destruction comes the seizing of highly advanced weapons, including EMP devices that were meant to disable all electronics, bioweapons designed for mass depopulation, and mind control technologies aimed at manipulating the thoughts and behavior of the masses, especially those that got the mark of, what I mean. The thing. The cabal's efforts to maintain power during their last stand have been swiftly thwarted by the white hats, who have been effectively, apparently, neutralizing all these threats that would have manifested into negative timelines. What was intended to be an arsenal of darkness and domination is now apparently nothing more than rubble, further signaling the collapse and the ending of the influence of this cabal and their empire, which stemmed from Babylon, right? It's been a 5,000-year empire beginning with Nimrod, and then, of course, perpetuated through his descendants. So, meanwhile, as these operations unfold in Nevada, there is a significant and unmistakable, you could say, upstick in military activity across key strategic locations globally. The White Hats who have been successful in infiltrating NATO, I remember I mentioned that at the beginning of the live, this is something that's been going on for years, creating an alliance faction, believe it or not, an alliance factions that have been working closely with the alliance aspect of NATO. So as I speak right now, NATO has been infiltrated, and many that defected from NATO are now part of the White Hat military force, mobilizing forces near major financial centers and critical infrastructures location worldwide for a very specific reason, guys. And these movements are not about instigating conflict, but are in fact preemptive maneuvers designed to secure the world's wealth and resources. So these developments serve as a dual purpose, right? First, to safeguard the physical and digital assets, right? We're talking about how they even were able to secure the Vatican gold, which was 1/3 of the gold reserves, resting underneath the Vatican. That was a huge operation. But there were several others, including one that was located near the, let's just call it Switzerland. I'm not going to say the name. Right, fine, Geneva. Okay, there was another huge, operation where they took some of the reserves that the cabal has been hoarding for a long time. So the assets apparently so they were meant to safeguard these physical and digital assets that are on the brink of being redistributed to the public as a part of a global financial reset. And second, to deter any last-ditch attempts by the old guard to obstruct the health transfer process that is about to happen. The assets long held by elite families, corporations, and secret societies are being reclaimed for humanity, ensuring that when the time comes, the wealth of the world will no longer be in the hands of the few, but distributed among the many. And this is the type of egalitarian system, guys, where it's not communism, but it's where they take back the resources, everything, right? The money, and they bring it back to the people. So the White Hats are not just protecting these assets, right? They are dismantling the cabal's mechanisms of control, and that a lot of that has to do with the activation of Starlink, which now controls 80% or over 80%, or constitutes over 80% of the world's satellites, thanks to Elon Musk. So the White Hats are not just protecting these assets; they are dismantling the cabal's mechanism of control over the global economy, allowing for a fairer, more transparent system to emerge. Now, as these military operations continue, and they have been ongoing, guys, the hammer is coming down, apparently very, very soon, right? They have over 1,000 secret indictments that have been unsealed just within the last week alone, targeting those who once stood untouchable in their ivory towers. But, these are some huge key players, it is believed. That some of them are what remained of the house of Roth, the rest Roth. So banking elites in Switzerland, apparently as a result of this, and New York and London, and the very centers of global finances are being taken into custody right now and flown to secret locations for interrogations. Make no mistake, these are not voluntarily resignations, despite what the mainstream media is spinning, okay? There is no stepping down for personal reasons. These elites are being forced and detained by the White Hats on serious charges, including the trafficking of, people, financial terrorism, and of course, mass corruption. So their escapes routes have been closed. Of course, they've been building these underground networks, trying to escape the solar flash, trying to, what they thought were going to be, coming upheavals, disasters, whatever. All of that stuff has been closed on them, guys. They don't even have their underground facilities anymore. So all their routes have been closed, right? Their bunkers sealed. Their private jets have been grounded. They're not even allowed to fly right now. And secure havens have been blocked off from the cabal. Their once vast and seemingly impenetrable resources have been frozen, their assets confiscated, and their influence removed. They are being systematically dismantled, their criminal networks exposed, and their power stripped away. And the first time in history, guys, for the first time in history, the world is going to see these shadow players being brought to justice, held accountable for their actions in what is the largest financial and legal takedown ever attempted. Again, we're talking about a 5,000 year old brotherhood that has held the notions of a fascist communistic empire, right, under various guises for the last 5,000 years. So President T visit to Georgia, let's talk about that, right? I believe he was there today. Amidst all these operations, Mr. T visited Georgia, which serves as a powerful sign of solidarity and recognition. His primary reason the primary reason for visiting is to pay his respect to the 2 million Americans that were affected by the devastating hurricane that recently swept through the region, through the different regions. So, however, this presence in Georgia also carries a symbolic weight, reflecting a commitment to stand by the people who have suffered under various forms of oppression, whether it's natural disasters, man-made crises, or covert operations like the bio, thing, right? Bio thing labs that have been exposed and neutralized. So Mr. T's role in the White House very, very soon. And like I said, in covert or in secret, Mr. T, as the CIC, has still been running the republic, right? Two governments coexisting. So Mr. T's role in and as a CNC movement has also been to guide and inspire, and his appearance in Georgia in this crucial juncture, demonstrating a powerful message that he cares, right? A lot of his haters are always saying how he is selfish and this and that, but all these altruistic actions that he's taking, visiting the people of Georgia who were hit really hard, and the people in these other states. I mean, you don't see the other side doing that. So that's a huge thing, guys. This is actually winning him more favor, in the polls. So this fight is not just military, it's covert also. It's about protecting the innocent and then, of course, restoring a sense of hope and justice. So we are living, all right, don't get me wrong, guys, we are living in the most extraordinary time, right, of the unveiling, the apocalypse, which is a great revealing, right? We are witnessing in Georgia what we are witnessing there is a piece of a larger puzzle, a global awakening to the truth of what has been happening in the world. So as these bio, labs are dismantled, as corrupt leaders are exposed, and as hidden technologies and resources are brought to light, humanity is being given a chance to rise. The rebuilt to reclaim its sovereignty, which again was prophesied, guys. The work of the White Hats is not just about taking down criminals or destroying dangerous facilities. It's about setting humanity on a path to freedom, abundance, and a new way of living, a world where transparency and unity prevail over secrecy and division. So as you hear more about the explosion in Georgia and President T's visit, remember that these events are part of a larger transformative movement. Okay, it is a movement aimed at protecting our lives, healing our planet, building a better future for humanity, and most importantly, guys, showing the fruits through their actions. Okay, so the fact that he's doing that is a huge wake-up call to a lot of people that were under the hypnosis of MSM, and of course, the mass media. So, so what we are witnessing right now is more than just the arrest of corrupt officials, which has already started from behind the scenes. This is a crumbling of an empire, the end of a global crime syndicate that has operated for millennium, guys. The cabal's networks of control, built upon fear, manipulation, and financial domination, are being eradicated. And with each blow struck by the White Hats, with each move, right, as they have access to every probable, and they've already pinned them down on every probable timeline as to why they keep messing up their attempts, the people of the world will once again regain their sovereignty. So there is a growing movement right now underway, especially with the double gravitational effect of these two celestial bodies that we're about to have in the next couple of months. So the victory is ours, apparently, as the hidden truth is revealed and the darkness is forced to come to light, right? Due to this double penetration or this double gravitational effect. We will be stepping into a new era, an era where freedom, transparency, and unity prevail over the greed and corruptions that once held us captive. So the Earth Alliance, with its support of military forces worldwide, including those defectors from NATO and other globalist agencies, is turning the tide, ensuring that humanity is no longer under the thumb of those who sought to enslave us, of course. What we are seeing is not just a battle, but the start of a revolution that will reshape the world as we know it. So always, my friends, do your own research, stay grounded, and always stay informed. And most importantly, it's important to stick together, right, as a soul tribe. Another thing I wanted to remind you guys about is that I noticed that some truthers have kind of steered over to the path of fear mongering and doomsday and stuff like that. Bear in mind, guys, that this is a time to be very, very careful with what you choose to occupy your mind, right? If you want to put your energy and feed the negative, a negative timeline, then that's your choice. But bear in mind that due to the law of superposition, right? Quantum physics states that all these probable realities are all coexisting both in a positive spectrum and a negative spectrum and everything in between. So wherever your energy goes, therefore, so does your attention, okay? Which helps create not only your own personal, helps to build, to develop circumstances in your own personal life, but also on a collective level, right? If they could get enough people to think one thing, that ultimately tilts the scales, right, in the collective. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys do have discernment and understand that, this world is meant to see a better day in light. So with that in mind, I do want to welcome everyone that is in the house. I see Francine in the house. Michelle is in the house. Kathy Kirk. Michelle Meditavilli, I think. Margius Place. Samantha. Petra Sinhan. Maggie Hill is in the house. Chastin Rose. Sylvia Foster. Andromeda Daisy. Who else is in the house? Tino is in the house. Let's see. Who else is in the house? I'm trying to, the chat is going so fast all of a sudden. All right, so if you guys have questions for me, please type them in capital letters so I could bypass the chat. Again, another final reminder, guys, that my last class is scheduled for October, the second week. It's on a weekend, Saturday and Sunday. This is my last class for the year. I'm not going to be having any more classes till next year, so I'm just throwing that out there. And then, yeah, I'll leave the link here in the description. So I still have that amazing discount price, by the way. Any questions? Does anybody have any questions? So is October the 1st the start of the, oh, this is a good one. I've heard that it's a possibility, right? It's a possibility that they could have everything go down on the 1st. I just lost it, but I think your question was, I've been reading some stuff that people send me sometimes, and they say that they call it Red October, that this month is going to be the month where they're probably they're going to be switching the green light over to the white hats, of course. My God, the chat is going so fast. All right, I think I found a question. Is the QFS actually a string operation by the white hats, a sting operation? No, it's not. It's actually, I don't know what you mean by a sting operation, but it's supposed to counteract the CDBC, sorry, which is the globalist digital currency agenda. So, and it's also a different type of system that has to do with the activation and the awakening of the Earth's crystalline structure, which is going to be connected through Starlink network of transparency, of doing transactions very transparent and very interconnected. And of course, this is going to be a living consciousness. I don't know if you guys saw my talk with Michelle Fielding, but this is the QFS is also going to be a living consciousness that is going to be connected to everybody's individual energy signature, therefore reading your vibration, understanding your intentions, and in so doing, it's going to be able to give you that flow of abundance. The greater, the bigger your heart, the more abundance you're going to be receiving as a result of that. So that's what the QFS is. And I mentioned this before in one of my earlier interviews. I'll mention it again, guys. The QFS is a system that is being incorporated by many type 1 fourth dimensional civilizations throughout the 3-dimensional and 4th dimensional universe. Okay. So it is a system that works. Of course, once we go into the 5th dimension, we go beyond money. In the 5th dimension, we go beyond time and beyond money. It doesn't exist anymore. I'm just looking for questions. So if you guys hear some deep breathing, that is my dog taking a nap right behind me. As you guys can see her, she's there she is. She's taking a nap. Right there. All right, so yeah, that's what you guys are hearing. She's taking a nap. Let's see. Will the government shut down tomorrow? That's a question from Ava. That's only if they initiate, and of course the EBS. Absolutely. Why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it? Everything was shut down. But I'm not saying it is. It's a possibility. But there is a deadline. There is a deadline. Ishmael, will the new moon be next to the old one or be in another position? That is a very good question from Squad Rippler. And the answer to that is I think they're going to come. There's going to be a time period within the next, almost 58 days that they're going to come pretty relatively close together. And I know NASA is saying that it's like 22 centimeters or meters, as big as like a school bus or 2 school buses. That is false information. It's actually much greater and bigger than that, guys. Don't believe what NASA publishes out there. I looked into that. Some people were thinking that it's actually 22 meters, and it's not 22 meters, right? It's not the size of 2 school buses. That's misinformation. All right, somebody's talking about the ports. Yes, I've heard that the ports are going to be closing. This is a reply from Squire Siva saying, Michelle, you are wrong. They will close all ports of entry at midnight tonight. Stock up soon. I heard about that as well. That's another probability, guys. So it's wise to be like a Boy Scout and a Girl Scout, right? And always be prepared. But I heard about the ports as well, closing off at midnight tonight. That is absolutely correct. I heard about that as well. But again, it's just I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's best to be safe than sorry. Why do we have to leave the earth? Who says we're leaving the earth? This is a question from Be Beautiful too. No, we are not leaving the earth. And that's heresy, right? When they say that the ascension is about leaving the earth. No, it's not. We're actually going to be shifting to a better version of Earth. See, the Earth exists in 12 different realities, right? From the 3rd dimension all the way to the 12th dimension. All we're doing is shifting from the 3rd D Earth into the 4th D and 5th D Earth. That's it. So we're always going to be here. It's just we're going to be on a higher scale, higher vibrational frequency of the planet. This is a super chat from Sonia Alexandra. She says, pure character dancing under a rain of confetti and taking his hat off to you. You are amazing. Oh, thank you, sister. I appreciate that. Ishmael, we are entering the 1,000 years of peace now, or are we past that? Also, will we still be on Earth to live and the bad ones leaving? Thank you. That's a good question from Justin Cook. And the answer to that is no, we haven't started 1,000 year peace. Not at all. No, that's going to happen at the bifurcation of timelines. That's going to happen at the bifurcation of timelines, guys. That's so when the solar flash takes place, that's when the two timelines are going to be splitting. So when for those that are vibrating in the fourth, fifth dimensional or sixth dimensional Earth reality, you're going to go into this higher world where heaven on earth exists. And so that timeline is not going to coexist with the technocratic dystopia timeline. All right, guys? That is going to usher in what we would call the millennium. Yes, the millennium. So the millennium hasn't started yet, but the events that are going to lead to that, we could say, are going to be unfolding. But no, we haven't started the millennium. Oh wait, this was another one about the hurricane. All right, so this is a good one from Kimmy. Hi, Kimmy. How you doing? She's saying, please respond, anyone. It is really changing vibration constant. It is really changing vibration constant. Fear about we are almost in nuclear war. Why is Trump putting out fear of we are almost going nuclear war? Ashtar stated no nuclear war. Well, again, bear in mind that we are going to be seeing the final part of the script unfold. So right now, like I mentioned 2 weeks ago, that things are going to be escalating, where they're going to be, where the sirens are going to go on, right? They're going to get to that point, and then that's when the White Hats are going to use that as an excuse to initiate a worldwide military coup. So yes, again, guys, if you guys want to buy into the doomsday that there's going to be nuclear missiles launched all over the world, that is not the case. And most importantly, the galactics are here. Our entire atmosphere is full of ships, all kinds of craft, from mother craft to scouting craft to different patrolling craft that are all here to make sure that nothing of that matter happens. It is. You could say galactic protocol that there are no nuclear weapons used anymore in our planet, okay? And that's been sealed. Yes, Athena is a pit bull fawn. She's not too husky like most pit bulls. She's very petite and just muscular, petite and muscular. All right, this is a super chat from Diana. Oh, I just lost it. Oh my God. Let me go to my phone. Let me see if I can find Diana. I do want to address her super chat. So how do you guys like that thumbnail? Bringing it back to 1776, right? As we restore the Republic. All right, so where is that super chat? Okay, so I have one from the sales lady. When the shift happens, will we be able to see our loved ones, but they can't see us? Do our pets instantly shift with us? Blessings. And the answer to that is yes. Even if our loved ones, say they happen to be Earth Terrans, younger souls, you're still going to be able to go into their dimension or their level of reality from the fifth. If you go to the fifth and they go to the fourth, right? As long as they're good people, they're at least going to go to the fourth. All animals are ascending, guys. Animals are moving up to their next stage of their evolutionary kingdom. So all animals are ascending. All right, the next super chat is from Anna Nistler. Thank you so much, sister. Will President T be back publicly as our president by the end of 2024? Everything looks like it's heading into that direction, Anna. So I would give it a strong 98% chance. Yes, definitely before the end of the year, of course. Let's see, another question from Sonia Alexandria. Thank you so much for your super chat. Stuart Williams, thank you so much for your super chat. Love your work, mate. Thanks for all you do. Oh, you're welcome. You must be from Australia. Big shout out to Stuart Williams. If you are from Australia, type it in the chat, brother. I would love to know. Athena needs nails clipped. She might need some nails clipped. No more super chats. All right. So let's continue here. How about Bill of Rights, accounting standard, lawful credit economy? This is a question from Frank. Frank, who was in the House. Again, even the 16th Amendment was illegally and treason. It was treason, by the way, was illegally ratified by the deep state players back in the early 1900s. So yes, all that stuff we're not going to worry about anymore. Well, yeah, that's what their excuse is. That the reason why the ports could be closing tonight at midnight is for a strike, but I'm sure it's much bigger than that. Ishmael, I heard mirrors do not reflect us as we truly are. Is this correct? Well, also, okay, first you have to understand that mirrors is just a reflection of the physical shelf that you can see, right? Which is a 3D. There are different aspects of yourselves that are non-physical. There's the energetic double body. There's the emotional astral body. There's the mental causal body. And then there's the light body, which divides into different layers. So bear in mind that you are more than just physical body. So no, it doesn't, it only reflects 1% of who your total being is. So to answer that question is no, the mirror only reflects your physical body. Was the hurricane affected by weather manipulation? That is a very good question. This is a twister, guys. This is a twister, okay? Remember I was talking about certain chemical facilities that were detrimental to humanity that were being done in secret. I am under the impression that the deep state has been stripped from their HARP and all of these advanced technologies that allow them to do these things, right? But I have a feeling that this thing that took place, right, as to why now the White Hats are offering support, right, in the compensation of the people's lives that were affected due to the hurricane. But I think that they were designed by the White Hats to flood underground facilities. Remember how earlier in the talk today, earlier in the presentation, I mentioned that the White Hats have sealed all their doors, their tunnels that lead to the underground, to their underground, bunkers. They've sealed them all. So I have a feeling that they did this in order to flood a lot of these underground tunnels that were located in that part of the United States. So that's my personal assessment. But of course, you guys could do your own research. But at the same time, bear in mind that the White Hats and Mr. T are there and are going to be assisting and offering aid to all of those people that were affected. So this is a super chat. Will President T be back publicly? Or I think I've already answered that. Oh no, no, I'm not leaving yet. I accidentally almost ended the live, guys. That would have not been good. I still have like 15 minutes to go. Let's see. Just looking for questions that are typically general questions that most people have in mind. Valthor said all nukes are neutralized. That must be Megan Rose's contact. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Ishmael, did Valiant Thor really do a flyover Westminster, Colorado, just Westminster, Colorado last Friday? Last Friday on the 29th of September. Um, I was informed that that is actually true, you know, and he's actually been there's a lot of things that they don't report that he does, you know, with the Earth Alliance, where there's been physical appearances of Valiant Thor in actual military bases. So a lot of those things aren't being reported, but he's very, very active in, you know, in this worldwide rescue mission attempt. Very, very active. Ishmael is the weather. Okay, I think I've already answered that. Thanks, everyone. Okay, does well, I heard that XRP and XLM, right, and Ripple are going to be working with the QFS. Absolutely, that's probably the only, I guess, if you want to call it digital currency, that's going to be left behind or left, you know, the only thing standing, right? Everything else, like cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, it's all going to collapse, with the exception, of course, of the Ripple, XRP, XLM. Yes, Lynn Davis, is the alliance going to ensure a fair November event? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. It's already heading there. Like I said, uh, all the operations that they've been conducting in the last week, right? The cleaning out of the chemical labs, what happened in Georgia, what's happening in other states, the flooding out of their entry points into their hideaways, all that stuff is being, you know, all the stuff that the cabal was going to use as an excuse to bring us back into a, you know, where everybody has to stay home, has all been thwarted by the alliance, in other words. So Mr. T stated himself, this was the last year of this war. They were done. This is yeah, this is actually true. This is a statement by Darla 51, Darla 51. Thank you so much for stating that. That is absolutely correct. This is the last year of war. Absolutely. Let's see. Ishmael is the weather. Okay, I've already answered that. Let me just go all the way down for new questions. Um, let's see. I'm looking for a question that most people would have. Again, for all my new people, first and foremost, don't forget to subscribe. But if you guys go back to the lives from like a year ago, a lot of your questions are all answered in many of the lives. I mean, you know, for those that are new, I would recommend watching a lot of my lives because there's a lot of information that was covered over the course of the year. Let's see, when will we have debt forgiveness? Again, the 16th Amendment, which is right, the IR, was also illegally ratified. So all that stuff is going to be absolved or dissolved. Um, when can we stop paying bills? Says Master Light. It's a question from Master Light. If the cabal is neutralized, why are bills still being paid for our life and homes? Well, again, part of implementing the new financial system is to bring us into an era where we don't no longer have to work, you know, to make ends meet, but it's going to be the other way around. Through your talents, through your gifts, you're going to be giving the opportunity first to develop those talents, if you know, or to enhance them, and then to make your abundance out of them. So in the new era, we're pretty much all going to be doing whatever we want, whatever we like to do best, right? Can you talk about what's under Mount Shasta? This is a question from Sherry Womack, from Sherry Womack. Well, it is a huge underground, you could say, tunnel system that leads to the inner earth, Gartha. It is believed that Mount Shasta is the in the surface level, right? That's the portal to Agartha. I'm sorry, to Telos. Telos, you know, Agartha is the entire planetary network, right, of subterranean worlds. But the one particularly under Mount Shasta is the city. It houses the city of Telos. So the Telosians, who actually were remnants of the ancient Lemurians, were able to seek refuge in through Mount Shasta into the inner world of Telos. Yeah, Telos is beautiful, by the way. It's like it's got a capital, and then it's as big as they believe it's as big as 4 or 5 states together. It's beautiful. We honor the courage and unending service of the Alliance. God bless and protect all of you. Thanks for all that you do and service. Thank you so much. And I'm sure that the Alliance watch my lives. I'm sure they do. So I'm sure they're going to hear that. You know, I would say that about the second, right, the asteroid, the camouflage, the spacecraft camouflage as an asteroid. Um, I would say that it could be visible as we get closer to the end of October, because that's when it's going to be at apogee, at closest to proximity in eye vision. This is a good question. Wait, where is it at? What will all the accountants do? All the accountants do? They are asleep. Well, like I said, we are going to be approaching what is known as critical mass, which is the Great Awakening. So people are going to have a choice to either, you know, wake up when all this is being revealed, or stay within their Matrix program. And just like in the movie The Matrix, you know, some people, particularly those that are NPCs, are going to, you know, argue with you, and perhaps even, you know, they say they're going to do everything in their power to keep the old paradigm together. But that's when the bifurcation needs to take place. All right, I see a super chat from Jazz. So she says, do you have an update of when Gaia enters plasma stream, which is the photon belt? She's referring to the photon belt, which is a highly charged energetic field. There's actually multiple bands of energetic fields that stem from the galactic core, like a dove net, right? Like it's like a toroidal field, right, in the center of the galaxy, with huge highways of light. And so planets, as they revolve around their central suns, you know, they have cycles in which they emerge into these highly, you know, ionized, whatever you want to call it, particles, light zones. All right. So that's what she means. So it is believed that we're almost there. I would have to say it's probably going to happen no later than where we reach a peak in solar maximum. So, but what we do know is that by 2030, no matter what happens between now and then, this reality construct comes to an end. That's a fact, right? That's a fact. But yes, we have been entering this plasma field of light, the photon belt, ever since 1987, which was marked by what became known as the harmonic convergence. And that's when scientists, for the first time, started seeing that our solar system was heading into this field of monastic energy that is connected to the central sun. What is the purpose of these satellite moons in our skies? You must be referring to the asteroid. I think that's what you're referring to. They're Yeah, I think that's what you're referring to, right? Edward Garcia. If you could be more specific, what is the purpose of the satellite moons in our sky? Well, again, the current moon that we've had for the last 50,000 years is the second moon that was hauled into our solar system when the Luciferian Anunnaki took over, right? Our original moon was used by Marduk, the son of Enki, to be imploded over the ancient Lemurians around 50,000 years ago when they destroyed Lemuria. So they used our original organic moon to destroy Lemuria. And so we've been using this artificial moon that has been used as a base for negative aliens that have been monitoring us ever since. But that moon's final gravitational effects are going to be nullified with this new second, you could say, celestial object that has come into our solar system, which is sent by the Guardian Alliance or the Guardian races. So that's set to neutralize whatever it is left of those effects of this moon, which is going to, cause a huge, you could say, awakening on the planet as a result of that. All right, one more question, guys. We're already at the hour. What is the best book to learn some of what you are talking about? Is there anything we can get to learn now? Yes, The Secret Government. The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, is revealing all of the activities, all of the operations of the Dark Hats, their networks, their different empires, all the way back to Nimrod. Right? It's a thorough explanation of suppressed history. You can start with The Secret Government, Invisible Architects. It's strongly recommended. Very digestible, easy to read. And if you want to know the galactic connection to this whole thing, how it all began with the Lyran Wars, then I would recommend Our Cosmic Origin. But with that in mind, guys, don't forget that this October it's my final classes for the end of the year, right? So make sure you guys get your spots, and I will see you guys Wednesday night for another update. We'll see. All right. Bye, guys. May the God force be with you.